So I'm going to let you guys in on a little behind-the-scenes stuff here. This is the second time that we have had to shoot our post-Geekout reaction of Us, because there is so much to think about with this movie that the first version of this was basically just, okay, well...
And we had to, make so many cuts.
Yeah, there was literally like 5 cuts in the first version of this review, because we had to keep stopping and going, hold on. Just like dead air of us just thinking. Hold on. Because this is the new horror film from Jordan Peele. It's his second horror film after Get Out. And Get Out is a freaking masterpiece. And one of the reasons why it's a masterpiece is because it's one of those things where every single line in that movie has a second meaning to it. And you just have to sit there and analyze it. I remember when I heard this news story, it was before I even saw the film, but this news story about how there was a college course where every single day they just talked about a different scene in Get Out, just analyzing everything that scene said. I thought, how on earth can you do that with a film for an entire course? And then I actually saw the film and I went, oh, you could totally do it with this movie.
Now they're going to do that with Us, too. Like, it'll probably be like 2 courses at least.
Yeah. The Jordan Peele experience, yeah.
This entire class dedicated to, like, analyzing Jordan Peele's movies.
When they run out of stuff to talk about, they just go to old Key and Peele episodes. Now, when he was talking about his ideas for Gremlins 2, and when he was doing the Continental Breakfast skit, what did that really say? Continental Breakfast is such an underrated skit on that show. Like, everybody talks about, like, the bitch skit. No, the Continental Breakfast one is so goddamn good. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Us, and not only is this the second time we have tried to do a review on this thing, because we just had to keep thinking about, we watched this thing a day ago, and normally for the post-Geekout reaction, we like to get our thoughts fresh, like as soon as we get home. I decided we're not doing that for this one.
Yeah.
Because after we got out of the theater, I almost had like this feeling of numbness to me, which is not the feeling you want after watching anything, especially a horror film. But the reason I kind of had a feeling of numbness was because, A, it's a horror film, and yet it didn't really scare me. And part of that is because it's a home invasion film, and home invasion slasher films, they never really scare me all that much. It's just not my thing. But the other reason was because, you watch Get Out, and you instantly know, this is what this movie is about. I can instantly start processing everything that this movie is about. This one, it's clear there's a message here, but it's so much more subtle, at least for the most part, that I was having to just sit there and just go, okay, so this could have meant this thing?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of symbolism in Us.
There's a lot that you need to think about, and I've already known people who have seen this movie multiple times already, and they have said, oh, there's so much in here that you miss on the first watch. And I really do want to go back and watch this again. I can't wait for this to come out on Blu-ray so that I can just sit down and analyze the crap out of this thing. But let's go ahead and talk about what this movie is about. It is about, it starts off with this young girl back in 1986, and her parents take her out to the boardwalk, and you can tell that the parents, they don't quite get along. And
it's Santa Cruz, by the way, and I've been there, and it's I don't know if I want to go back after seeing this movie.
Isn't that something when you know a place and a movie just makes you look at it completely different from here on out? So she goes there, and the dad, you can tell he's kind of irresponsible. He just wants to play whack-a-mole. The mom has to use the bathroom, so she's like, all right, well, just stay close to your dad. And of course, she does not stay close to her dad.
I looked over to you when she did that, and you were just like,
you dumb kid. You dumb kid. You should show this movie to children. It will keep them from ever wanting to wander off.
Although they might not ever want to leave you ever again.
That will create new problems. They'll just constantly hold on to you like a koala bear. Here's my son, and you just lift your arm up, and he's just like, no. Yeah, brand new problems there. So she immediately wanders off, and she goes into this Hall of Mirrors, and the Hall of Mirrors on it even says, find yourself on it, which, wow, I wonder where this whole crisis begins. She wanders in there, and she finds in the Hall of Mirrors herself. And it's not her reflection, it is another thing that looks exactly like her. And then it cuts to the present, and that little girl is Lupita Nyong'o's character in here. And I'll just go ahead and talk about the acting right now. Lupita Nyong'o is extraordinary in this thing. I've already seen people on Twitter saying she needs to get nominated for an Oscar in this. I absolutely agree. Because every single person in here that has to basically play 2 roles, both of her roles have more meat on than any of anybody else's characters. Like, one of her characters has more meat on than any of the other characters, 2 characters rolled into one. Yeah, she's amazing in this. And if you are in Hollywood and you're capable of just crying on a dime, call Jordan Peele. He has work for you. I don't know if it's just him, if he just finds the right actors, if he's able to direct people that well, but everybody in his movies is like, I need you to instantly start crying. Giant tears just flowing down people's faces. But she ends up getting married to Winston Clark, and between this and Black Panther, Winston Clark is like my new favorite actor in Hollywood.
Like the new favorite up-and-coming actor?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't want to even say up-and-coming because he's been working for a long time, but it feels like after working for a long time, he's finally gained the respect he deserves. Because in this movie, he plays a corny dad. And I have known dads like that. He's one of those guys who he's just too goofy for his own good. In fact, there are moments in here where they try and give him like the badass I'm going to save the day moment, and he fucks it up. And you mentioned that when the kid walked off and just went, there's about 2 other moments in this movie where I went, and they were both at his character. When he tries to save the day and just went, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Just, how are you this incompetent?
Womp womp.
But that's the character he is. But here's the thing. He's also M'Baku in Black Panther. He's also that guy who was so intimidating that he intimidated Black Panther. He was the, are you finished? He was that guy. He was the guy who just started barking at Everett Ross in there. It was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to shut the fuck up because that dude's barking at me right now. Yeah, he is amazing. I got no words for his range. It's so good. But they have 2 kids, and one's this teenage girl, and she is into track and field, but she's also, this is kind of weird, and it's one of the negatives I have to give this film, is that she's into conspiracy theories, but it only comes up once.
Yeah. I mean, you see her on the phone all the time, so you
But that's just a teenager thing.
Yeah, but
Hell,
it's
that's
like...
just a people thing. We're on the phone all the time.
Yeah, but it's like, like she's probably like listening to like conspiracy theories online and stuff like that.
Considering like how bizarre the premise of this movie is, it feels like that needed to come up way more.
Yeah, I think so too.
Only once in the car, like out of nowhere, does she go, did you know the government is putting fluoride in our water to mind control us? That's the only time that ever comes up.
Yeah.
It's so weird that that's the only thing that comes up. But also when you consider what a weird premise this movie has, shouldn't it feel like she should be throwing out a bunch of other crazy shit later on?
If she like talked more about like theories and conspiracy theories, like it would have like felt more in place.
It feels like there's like 3 or 4 other lines in this movie that got cut out. And it's kind of a shame because it feels like that could have been a cool thing to add to her character. But they also have a son, and the son, he's got some kind of a condition. They never say what it is, but they do mention that he has problems concentrating, and he's always wearing a Wolfman mask, which I kept thinking was a Chewbacca mask, but it's actually a Wolfman mask. The more you look at it, you realize, oh no, Wolfman, got it. They were able to legally get away with that then. Yeah, because I kept looking at that. I was like, so weird to have a kid in a Chewbacca mask throughout all this. Oh, Wolfman, I get it. It makes sense. And it actually does play into the plot a little bit, but I might save a little bit of that for the spoiler section. But yeah, so he definitely has something going on. There's even a moment where they just flat out stop and say, your brother is weird. So this is a movie about this family. They're going to their summer home, and you can tell that the dad is trying to impress his rich friends because his rich friends have a boat, so he buys a boat, but it's a crappy boat. But you can tell he bought it only so that he could then go to his rich friends and go, let's have some boat talk. Just us as the boat owners. We're just going to have some boat chat. You non-boat owners won't understand. And what this movie is about, for anybody who's seen the trailers, you know, this is a movie about after they get home that night, they are invaded. It is a home invasion film. Except the slashers who invade their home look exactly like them. And when I saw the trailers, I thought this was going to be a movie about like staying true to yourself, not trying to act like someone different to impress other people, because it's very clear you see him with the boat in there. That's like, okay, he bought this boat to try and like impress people, or like he's trying to, he doesn't know anything about boats, but he's getting it because he feels like he needs a boat. Like, I felt like, okay, that's going to be like a microcosm of a bigger thing. So they're acting like not themselves, so like, themselves end up attacking. So
yeah, it's like I felt like it was more like jealousy or something.
Yeah, you were explaining that to me.
Yeah, it's like basically like when the tethers come into their
house. That's what they call
the doppelgangers.
We forget what we already explained in the first version of this review and what we explained in this version.
Also, like everyone online is calling them the tethers too, so
which, man, I just gotta say, Jordan Peele is the master at coming up at new horror terminology. Because after Get Out, everybody was talking about the sunken place, and now with this one, everybody's talking about the tethers. I was going to call them shadows after this.
Because they did mention, like, shadows.
Yeah, but, like, the internet agreed, tethers. And I was like, that is a better name.
Yeah, so, like...
That's way more original.
So when the tethers, like, came in and, like, she started talking about, like, making a story. It's like, once upon a time, there was a girl and a shadow, and the girl got nice things, but the shadow got bad things, and, like, bad... And they were just...
She goes into a little bit more detail than that.
Yeah, but yes. It's like, I'm just doing, like, a general... Yes. Come here, Peach.
Yes. Peach wants up.
Yes. And she's like, and so it's like, and the shadow got angry and just wanted the things that the little girl wants. So I was like, oh, because their family wants all the nice rich things that their friends have. Now they're basically like suffering, like gonna like pay for their jealousy.
Okay, so you thought that they were basically like the jealousy that they felt of their rich friends basically personified.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. Okay, I could have seen that. I mean, granted, that's not what it is.
No.
From the trailers, I could totally see that.
Yes.
Okay, I can see that. So what ends up happening is that they end up attacking that night, and it does become a home invasion film then. However, in the third act, this becomes something completely different. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to spoil that at all. But as I said, I'm not really into like home invasions or slasher films. The third act, they've managed to hide that completely in the trailers. And I loved what was in the third act. And I'm kind of bummed they didn't explore that more. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of bummed they didn't like show like the bigger ramifications of this.
It's like I kind of felt like the second act, well, the whole invasion part, like maybe went on a little too long. I kind of wish they delve more into, like, what was the bigger picture, I guess.
This movie does kind of take its time getting to that third act. Like, I kept looking at this thing, and the home invasion thing doesn't happen until the second act. I kept thinking, in any other horror film, this would have started around, like, the 10-minute mark. Like, typically in, like, a 2-hour-long film, the 10-minute mark is what film students call the point of attack, where it's like, okay, 10 minutes is setting up this world, then everything changes at this, and then we go from there. This movie, it waited until that second act, and it did a great job of making us like this family.
Yeah.
Which that's the thing I have always said about horror films. Make us like the protagonist. And this thing did a great job. And it took so long actually getting to the horror moment that when it got to that moment, you've all seen in the trailers, that moment when the kid, Jason, comes out and goes, there's a family in our driveway. When he came out and said that in here, I just went, oh, God, no. Because I had basically gotten to a point which I was like, I'm just enjoying chilling with this family on their summer vacation. And when he came out and said, there's a family in our driveway, I just went, oh, that's right, it's a horror film, and terrible things are about to happen. Oh, God damn it. So yeah, they did a great job making us like that family. From then on out, yeah, the second act is a slasher film, and the third act is something completely different. And man, I do wish that we had just gotten more of that third act, because that's the really interesting stuff to me. We will talk about that in the spoiler section. We're going to save all that for after we give our score on this. But yeah, I was really impressed with this. Now, as I said though, when we left the theater, I almost felt numb, which is not the feeling that you want after seeing a horror film. And the reason why I kind of felt numb was for two reasons. One is because when you saw Get Out, you instantly knew what that movie was about. You knew what it was trying to say. Mm-hmm. You knew the big message of that thing, and you could instantly, immediately, in your head, start going back and reanalyzing every line of dialogue that was said. Oh, this actually meant this. When this guy was saying that, he was like supposed to be the avatar of this. Like he was meant to be like this person making a message about that thing. Oh, I can get all this. But also, Get Out was terrifying. Part of that also is just because I personally have a fear of mind control. Like, the idea of you not being in control of your own body, that is something that is horrifying to me. And that's what a lot of that movie was. So I will admit, this movie is a slasher thing. Slasher stuff doesn't really get me all that much. But mind control, which is what Get Out was a lot of, that really gets me. So I will admit that could be part of that. But in this film, after I saw it, I was like, there's definitely a message here. But I can't quite tell what it is.
Yeah, it's like, with us, it takes a bit longer to process what everything is. Like, because there's, like, a lot of symbolism and a lot of, like, subliminal messages.
I have seen so many people online saying, I've already watched this 3 times, and every single time I've picked up on something new in there. And, like, I can tell this is one of those films. I can tell this is one of those films where I have to watch this multiple times to be able to figure out and, like, fully form my final opinion on this thing. Because this film, when the Tethers invade and they're in the house, they ask them, what are you? And they say, we are America. And the moment that they said that, I went, oh, okay, this definitely, like, there's some much larger message in here. That's not subtle at all. Like, Jordan Peele knows when to be subtle and he knows when not to be subtle. He does a great job of that. But man, that part was not subtle. The rest of this film is so subtle about what the hell that meant that I was having trouble figuring it out. And I can't lie. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. After we got home, I spent several hours just trying to process and go, what the fuck was this movie about? That I did have to go on Google and type in messages in Us movie. Not because I wanted to read like someone's entire like analysis of it. Not because I wanted someone to give me their ideas that I could then repeat to you guys. I just needed someone to point me in the direction. Just like, I needed someone to jumpstart my car because I was just stalling there like, it could possibly mean this. It could possibly mean this. And I had to look it up. And I saw an article that said, it's about class structure. And that's all I read. I went, got it. Okay, I'm off to the races now. I can kind of start getting this thing now. Because the Tethers, this movie opens up. The very opening of this film is text on a screen. And the text on the screen says, there are thousands of miles of unused tunnels underneath the United States of America. And when I saw that, I almost got up and left. Like, nope, horrifying premise. Already freaking me out. But we eventually find out that's where the Tethers live. That's where they came from. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go into too many spoilers. You can kind of see Peach's head in the background there. Hey, buddy.
There's that one tiny ear.
There's that one ear.
Oh, hi. There's your little eye. Hi.
Yes, hi. Okay. Hi. But the Tethers live under there. And in the trailers, I'm not going to go into too many details about this. We will save it all for the spoiler stuff. But in the trailers, there is that moment where they say, they think like us. They know what we know. So you know they have some kind of a connection to them.
They are tethered together.
And
so that's where the name comes from.
Exactly. And basically you get this feeling as the movie goes along that what the people above ground do, you see that the Tethers underground are forced to live out the exact same existence, but like pantomime it. Like this, like distorted, like almost like a mutilated version of what they're doing. So they're basically forced to do what the people above ground are doing, and it kind of like hit me. Oh, the people above ground are supposed to be the upper class, and what this is saying is that what brings the upper class pleasure causes pain to the people below them. And when you think about that line, we are America, basically they're saying, yeah, the people you don't want to look at, the people who basically are considered beneath you, we're the ones who built this country. We're the ones who made all of this. The reason why you can enjoy all the stuff you enjoy is because of the people beneath you. Mm-hmm. And we are the true face of America. And that's when my mind could really start like racing. Okay, this means that means that. This okay, we're going from here to here to here. But the other reason why I was kind of numb to this was because I just didn't find this movie that scary. Get Out terrified me. This movie, again, it's not my type of horror. It didn't really scare me. I am so glad that we decided to wait a day to let ourselves process all this, because when we got on the subway to come back home, I was like, yeah, that wasn't, I'm a little disappointed because it wasn't that scary. I can tell it's a good movie, but it's a horror film, and I thought it was going to terrify me, and it really did. And then we were on the subway, and I was just looking around at everybody on the subway like, oh, I don't know what any of you are. Oh, it was like one of those Invasion of the Body Snatchers type things. Where I was looking at everybody, I was like, okay, oh God, they could be you, or they could be you. They could be in your house right now, everyone. Which I will say this, I gotta give this movie a lot of credit that this is a movie about doppelgangers. At no point in here do they do the tired old, which one of you is the real person? They never do that in here, and I am so happy about that. Because we've seen that forever.
And it's like, the Tethers, they don't entirely act just like the people above ground.
They don't even really, act like them at all. They just kind of have distorted, warped versions of them.
Yeah, but I think it has to do with, the environment they grew up in.
Exactly, yeah. Also, man, they kind of mention in here about the Tethers not really having a soul of sorts. Which that's when I started getting, I can't go any further than that because then I start giving you details. But it is almost like, it's almost like them, but if they were sociopaths, like that kind of a thing.
I don't know. I keep thinking about the Treehouse of Terror, the episode where the Bart has an
evil twin.
Yes.
It's often the left twin or evil twin that turns out to be the bad one. Wait a minute. Bart's scar is on the wrong side. That would mean the evil version was and always has been Bart. I could do this. I could do it. Don't get me started on Simpsons. I could do an entire episode just quoting it all. You've probably never even seen your own face, Hugo. That's one of the best time gags in Simpsons history. Sorry. Anyway. Oh, God damn it. I love the Simpsons. Okay, sorry. Woo! Okay, focus. Scene. Anywho, what the hell were we talking about?
We were talking about us.
About Tethers tied together. Okay. We were probably talking about, this movie, it didn't really scare me, but then, on the subway, I just kind of kept, giving everybody this, what real... Who's real kind of a look. You're like, oh, I don't know what's going on in your life over there, buddy. Oh, you stay way over there, man. But then last night, I go to bed late because I am up editing videos nonstop. But you went to bed, and then I was just here in the apartment, just the only lights on left on the apartment was here in my office where I do my editing, and then in the kitchen. And then there came that moment which I had to go to bed, and I was like, I'm really freaked out right now. I don't know where this came from, but just out of nowhere, I was just scared out of my freaking mind. And I've been thinking about this all day, and the more I thought about it, the more it just started freaking me out. The more it started to scare me. And then towards the end of the night, when all the lights were off in the apartment, I was legitimately freaking out thinking about this movie. This movie really did start to terrify me. This was a time bomb of a movie. Because the more that goes along, the more I think about this, the more it really does just terrify me. I don't know if you had a similar experience.
No, but like I said, because this took place at Santa Cruz and I've been there before, it's I don't know if I want to go back. I don't know if I'll be able to see this place the same way.
It definitely had some kind of an impact on you, yes. Did you notice if it was if it was one of those things where it's they said they were at Santa Cruz, or was
no,
it
they definitely said it.
Okay, because that's a lot of things.
Because it's when they were driving to the beach house, and the dad was like, "Hey, let's go to the beach. We're gonna go to Santa Cruz," and then she had a bit of a flashback, almost like a PTSD sort of thing.
They even call it that in this film. Yes, they even call what she experienced as a child as post-traumatic stress. Man, sorry. I'm still thinking about stuff in this film. We're gonna have to do a cut right now. But yeah, as this movie went along, it really did just terrify me. The more I was thinking about this, for example, the Tethers, they can't talk except for Lupita Nyong'o's tether, who is just called Red. And, which by the way, this Halloween, if you own a Halloween store, if you want a costume store this Halloween, load up on red jumpsuits. Because that's going to be the thing that you just see everywhere this Halloween.
Also, like the leather glove and...
The leather glove and gold scissors. So, yeah.
And sandals.
Were they wearing sandals?
Yes, they were.
Oh, I didn't even notice that part.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, she's the only one that talks, but she talks in this voice that when she started talking, the audience actually laughed. And I will admit, I looked at it and went, oh, that's not scary at all. As time went along, it did start to terrify me. As, like I said, not even in the movie. Like, hours after we got out of the movie, it started, like, freaking me out just thinking about that voice. Because her voice, it sounds like she's constantly sucking air. And like she's struggling to talk. Peach is very concerned for my health after I did that. I'm okay, Peach. But yeah, it's one of these voices that, yeah, originally I looked at and just went, that's not that scary. But come like 2 a.m. in the morning when I'm here in the apartment just by myself, I was getting freaked out thinking about that voice. This movie is a wonderful, like, just plants that horror seed inside you, waters it, and it just grows over time. Yeah, I love the horror element of this. I was actually afraid to go to bed last night. I don't even remember the last horror film that did that to me. This film really had an impact on me that I have not experienced from a horror film in so long. And what's impressive about that is that it took its time. The last film that probably did that to me was like the original Blair Witch, because I watched that when I was over at my mom's house as a kid. My mom lived in the suburbs. My dad lived a mile into the woods on a dirt road with no other houses around for miles and miles and miles. And that weekend I went over to my dad's place, and then I was just there out in the woods just, oh God, no. But that was a situational thing. That was, if you put me in the setting of that horror film, solely the horror film had an impact on me. I wasn't in Santa Cruz. I wasn't out on some house. I was in an apartment building. If some crazy person tried to attack me, then my neighbors would hear about it and call the cops. And yet it had that impact on me. There was a moment in which I had to go into the kitchen to get myself a snack, and then the hallway outside the kitchen was just completely pitch black, and I just kept hearing that creepy version of I Got Five On, which is such a good creepy remix. Like, for the longest time, we have had all these people out there make creepy remixes of songs, and it's just like, a little girl.
Like, it's always like nursery rhymes or something like that.
But they'll even do it with like popular songs.
No.
And it just sounds stupid. This, it's just ghostly. It's, I got 5 on it. Blink, 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 blink. And just like that feeling of hearing like someone off in the distance, like echoing that song. And like the blink, blink, like the little violin tweaks, which I even said I'm sick of the violin tweaks in creepy music. It doesn't have an effect on me. This had a freaking effect on me, and I was there in the kitchen, and in my head, I just kept going, I got 5 on it, and like, blink, 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 and just hearing that, I was like, I'm going to turn my head, I'm going to see a creepy little kid on all fours just running through that hallway, and I'm having none of this. I want no part.
Yeah, like the music in this movie was great.
God damn, it's so good. Which, although I will say, after 2 of these movies, I have now come to realize Jordan Peele really has a thing for the Deus Dominus, like the O Fortuna style music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that stuff. And the music in here is really good, but there's like 3 different types of music in here. You could have like taken one of those out, I feel like, because he's got the Deus Dominus music, and he's got the I got 5 on, and then there's another one in there that I don't even really remember, but every now and again it would pop up and be like, you're kind of the odd man out on this one. But it's not like none of them were bad, just it's 3 very different types of creepy songs in here. Maybe you could have just gone with 2. But yeah, very good music in here. I still say, man, when Get Out was nominated at the Oscars, I said, I'm glad it got the nominations it did, but it also really should have gotten score. And I had someone on Twitter say, I don't even remember the score in that. I was like, how can you not? What? Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I thought the score in that was great. Speaking of Get Out, let's just go ahead and say this, because a lot of people are going to ask, like, well, how does it compare to Get Out? I think Get Out is definitely a better film, but I also think Get Out is a freaking masterpiece, like once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's so smart, and he probably spent decades writing that thing. this thing he probably spent 2 years writing, but goddamn, it's still really good. It's still really damn good. And again, Get Out is one of those where, like, right after seeing it, bam, I got the impact from it, and I was able to grow from there. This one is taking a much longer time to build in my head.
And sometimes that can affect your rating.
Exactly, and that means that, like, a year from now, if you ask me what's better, Get Out or Us, my answer could be completely different right now, and I actually enjoy that we have a film like that. But let's go ahead and give our score on this thing before we get into the spoiler part, because goddamn, there's a lot to talk about in the spoiler part. It's weird. When we walked out of the theater, I was actually like maybe a 7, because I was like, it's good, it's definitely good, and there's something here, but I'm not quite getting it. But like I said, as time went on, it just got scarier and scarier to me. And after I finally I had to cheat and I had to get someone to kickstart my brain on analyzing this thing. After I did that, I could actually see all the stuff it was saying in here. But again, I know if I go back and watch this again, I will be able to see even more stuff in here. But I can't judge what I'll probably see in the future. I have to judge what I see now. But yeah, the fact that this scared me more than any film that I have seen in I don't even know how long. And the fact that it gave me that slow burn that I rarely ever even get from horror films. And that there is a big message in here, which I think that the social commentary in Get Out is done better. But again, if I watch this a couple more times, that opinion could completely change. It's still done well in here. I'm going to give this a 9. What about you?
I think I'll give it like half a point less than
like
what I
8.5?
did for
Get Out?
Of Get Out, yeah. I don't remember if I gave Get Out a 9.5 or a 9 or
okay.
what. But like half, like a
whatever
half a
that
point, yes.
was. Yeah, everybody go watch our Get Out review, and then come back to this and just go like, let's a little bit further down. But yeah, man, goddamn, this was a really good film. And it's weird. I want to watch this again so that I can get more out of it. But it scared the crap out of me, and I don't want to watch this ever again. This is like I love horror films. I'm a big horror junkie. We literally spend an entire month every single year just dedicated to watching horror films. And this is one of the only horror films that scared me on such a level that I was like, I'm good. I'm okay. But yeah, okay. So that was our review of this. Let's get into the spoiler stuff, because God, what happens in the third act? We gotta talk about this. In the third act, it cuts to the rich family, and there's someone coming up, and I assumed that it was going to be another one of the tethers, like the tethers for the main family. It isn't tethered, but of them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what threw me off the jealousy theory that I had originally, because I'm like, what are these people jealous of? Are they jealous of the other family because they have what...
A good family?
Yes.
That like each other? There's that.
Yeah, but then...
Also, I mean, if these guys are supposed to be like the embodiment of like envy and greed, like, they're a snobby rich family. They're not known for being people that can just say, well, I have enough things now. So it could still work. But no, it keeps going and keeps going from there. And yeah, they get tethers that come in and attack them, and then our family has to come to them for help, and they find them, and they have to end up killing their friends' tethers, which there is a great moment in here that it's one of the few comedic moments in here, but it's so perfectly done, and it does just capture the feeling that this is a family in which they're arguing about who killed more. He goes, Mom, you only killed one, I killed 2 people. It's like, no, you didn't. You missed one of them, I killed the other one. So, and then the dad just goes, listen, that's 1, 1, 1, 2. I killed myself and Josh, whatever the friend's name was. And I love that they were at, like, this moment having to, like, have that, like, no, listen, family time, family meeting about this. I love that. But they realized, wait a minute, it happened to us, it happened to them. How far is this going?
It's like Jason, the little kid, he's like, how many tethers are there? How many of us are there, basically? And then they turn on the TV, and then just...
That's the moment that this becomes an apocalyptic thing, and that's the... that was the good shit. That was the stuff that I love. And I wanted them to go into so many more details about that. And they didn't really. All you get is like that one like news broadcast, and then they go out driving at one point, and you see, everything's kind of on fire.
Yeah, it's like the original people are dead, but I didn't see the tethers anywhere, so I'm
That's
like...
because as soon as the tether kills someone, they then form into a giant Hands Across America line.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's what made the Hands Across America line incredibly terrifying, because you see, like, just a line just stretching out, like, infinitely, and you know, all of them have killed their main sources. Like, all of them have killed their main people. So, yeah, like, every single person you saw there just meant, like, another dead person. And yeah, man.
Although, it kind of made me wonder, like, why didn't anyone, like, call, like, a national emergency or anything like that, or...
Well, remember, they called the cops in here.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and the cops were like, we're 14 minutes away. And like, how are you taking that long to get here? And now that you're looking back, it's like, oh, because they had many other people to respond to that night.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense, but it's like, I was wondering, like, the National Guard or anything like that?
Remember, at the very end of this thing, when they're driving up, you see helicopters in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So the National Guard are clearly doing something. But this is all over the country right now.
It's like, what are we gonna do? It's like...
Yeah. Like, we'd be fine because we're in New York, and yeah, there's abandoned tunnels under here, but you can't fit an entire city underneath our city. So there wouldn't be that many people. Then again, both of us originally came from outside of New York City, so our tethers probably followed us up to New York City. Which that was the one thing that kind of, like, got me, is like, okay, well, how did the tethers, like, get from all the way over there to... Because they don't own cars underground. Like, how did they make that trip? That doesn't quite make sense. So, yeah, here's like, when it comes to the actual tethers and how they work, there's many questions. It is kind of a, don't think about too much. It's kind of
it's like, that's the thing. It's like, that kind of like threw me off about us. Is like, there's a lot to think about, but at the same time, it's like, don't think about it. Like, so...
Think about the social commentary, not the science of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's kind of why I give it like half a point less than Get Out, so...
Because Get Out, you can look at that and be like, holy shit, everything is set up in here. This one, you kind of need to just ignore some stuff. Like, how the hell do all the tethers have so many different pairs of clothes? Like, you were wondering how they eat, but they explained they eat raw rabbits.
But where did the rabbits
What did the
come
rabbits
from?
eat? Well, the rabbits, they multiply because they keep, they're rabbits. They're known for making many more of them. But the rabbits still have to eat something. Are the rabbits cannibals? Are they eating other rabbits? What are they... Well, if they're underground, they're probably near, like, sewer pipes and stuff, so they can actually, like... They probably have, like, faucets and stuff. Not to mention, there were scientists under there.
There were, but not anymore, and it makes you wonder how long were the scientists gone for.
Yes, exactly.
Because, like, basically, like, the tethers were, like, an experiment gone wrong, or, like, a failed experiment?
Yeah, I got this feeling like this was some 1950s, like, we have to win the Cold War, let's make clones kind of thing. And, this didn't work out, abandon that shit. Because this thing starts in the 1980s, and you see that in the 1980s, they're already roaming around by themselves. So, yeah, it clearly had been abandoned for a while. But... Yeah, if there were scientists down there, then there had to be, like, running water. So clearly they had something to drink. But what did they have to give the rabbits? What did the rabbits eat? That kind of was the one thing that just, like, Okay, there's a big question there. But also, how do they keep getting clothes? How do the tethers keep getting clothes? I mean, I guess they could keep recycling the same clothes over and over again. But the end of this kind of all comes down to they all needed to get red jumpsuits. Where did they get the red jumpsuits from? But again, that's not important. You are just going to have to force yourself to go, don't ask questions.
Unless, like, the red jumpsuits were, like, their pajamas or something.
It could have been, like, the scientist uniforms, but then again... Sorry for that awkward cut, but we literally talked so long about this movie, we ran out of footage on our camera. We talked for so long about this thing, because remember, we had to do this review once before, and it was just us going, what am I... Hold on. Ooh, gotta think about that a little bit more. But yeah, this is one of those films that... you just kind of get lost in. But yeah, so in other words, don't ask questions about how the tethers work. Just focus on, like, how creepy they are. Oh, god damn. Oh, man, I lost my momentum there. So let's talk about the big reveal, though. The big reveal at the end of this is that you've now got the family. The family survived, which... I am actually really glad that so far in both of Jordan Peele's horror films, the protagonist survived. Mm-hmm. Spoilers for Get Out. Sorry, I just realized that. But the protagonist survives because it's telling me that you don't have to kill off the characters you like to make you really fear for the characters in there.
Yeah, just put them in a life-threatening situation, that's all.
Also, I mean, goddamn, this is the apocalypse here at the end of this whole thing. Yeah, you know that their lives aren't going to be okay at the end of this. But at the end of this, you have Lupita Nyong'o having to go down into the world of the Tethers for a showdown with Red, and they're having just this fight in there in which Red is just reading all of her moves, just dodging everything, and then just stabbing her with these scissors.
Because she can read her moves.
Yeah,
she
exactly.
is her, like...
Exactly. Which there is, like, this theory that the reason why they mimic them is because they say they could copy the bodies but not the souls, so because of that, they're kind of sharing souls almost. So that's why the Tethers are forced to live out the same things that the people above them are doing. Eventually, at the end of this, Lupita Nyong'o is able to win. She fights her off, she kills her, and then she's able to find Jason, and she rescues Jason and takes him back upstairs, and the whole family just drives off. And you just see, like, the long line of people stretching out there. But as they're driving off, Lupita Nyong'o, a memory comes back to her of that night in which she went into the Hall of Mirrors, and she saw her tethered, and the tethered knocks her out, drags her down into the world of the Tethers, handcuffs her to the bed, and then she goes up there, and she now finds her parents, and she gets taken in by them. So the real Lupita Nyong'o, which by the way, I have to call her by her character's name eventually at some point in here.
Was it Adelaide?
Adelaide, yes. Okay. So the real Adelaide got kidnapped as a child and was forced to swap places with Red. So Red has been up there living Adelaide's life, and Adelaide was trapped down there living Red's life. And it's one of those things that, as I said, I thought that was a pretty good twist. But as time went along, I just kept thinking about what that meant for Adelaide. I kept thinking about the existence that she had.
Like, these people have been here, like, their whole lives, and it's not fair, and it's like, so she...
Well, also just think about what it means for Adelaide, in which she isn't like the Tethers, where the Tethers didn't really have much thought to themselves.
Which is why Red was able to speak, you think?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and it's like, she even said, like,
And now it's getting confusing because I'm referring to both of them by both names.
Okay.
The Tethered, okay. Red is the one who was the real Adelaide, just for confusion's sake. When we say Adelaide from now on, it was Red who kidnapped the real Adelaide and went up there and lived the life of Adelaide. When we say Red from now on, we mean real Adelaide who got kidnapped and taken downstairs to live the life of Red. Just so everyone knows. But yeah, none of the Tethers can talk except for Red. And it made me go, it's because she wasn't a tethered. She actually was a real human being.
Yes, and, like, remember, like, when she would take ballet and, like, all the other Tethers thought that this was, like, a sign that she was, like, a prophecy, that she would, like, bring them out of the tunnels?
Yeah.
It's because, yeah, she wasn't a human. She was human, not a tether, like an actual person. So she was able to, like, you know, think about these sort of things on her own.
Yeah, she said when they saw me dance, they could tell I was different. So, yeah, they could absolutely tell that there was something special about her. Oh, God, what the fuck was I about to say? So, yeah, it makes you start looking at so many different things in here. And, oh, yeah, that was it. After she came back, they kept saying that she couldn't talk because she had suffered basically a post-traumatic experience. And the mom has a line of, I just want my baby back. And it's like, that's a smart line. That's a smart line when you know what that really means. That's good. That's some good writing there. That's that Get Out writing in which you look at it and go, oh, double meaning. Okay, it makes me really want to watch this movie again.
It's like, oh, I just realized, like, the handcuffs. Remember?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, when Red came in there, the first thing she wanted Adelaide to do was handcuff herself to the table. It's because Adelaide took Red down there and handcuffed her to the bed to swap places. She wanted revenge on her. Yeah, I realized that one. Also, the Tethers are kind of tied together to each other. You see, what's her face? You see Adelaide. I'm having to remember what we're referring to each of them as. You see that Adelaide, when she's looking through her old possession, she had a little stuffed rabbit. And then when Red finds that rabbit, she cuts its head off. And you realize that was like the tethered one kind of like getting the visions of the rabbits that Red was forced to eat now that she was underground. But like I said, it really disturbed me the more that I thought about it, because you think, this was this little girl, and she was living a normal girl life, and now she has these doppelgangers of her parents that can't even talk forcing her to like just like prying and tugging her along everywhere underneath this weird tunnel where she can't even see the sun. She has to eat live rabbits, like raw rabbit flesh underneath there. She's living this nightmare, just growing up in this just horrifying situation. The more I thought about what that meant for the character of Red and what it meant for what it must have been for throughout her entire life, because she also mentions that, you know, Adelaide ended up meeting Gabe, and she referred to him as her prince, but the Shadow did not have a prince. The Shadow had Abraham. And she's talking about how, like, she didn't love Abraham or anything, but Abraham was, like, kind of, like, forced upon her. When you think about, basically she's saying that she was also forced to just be raped there in the...
She said, like... The woman had a beautiful boy, but the Shadow, she had a monster. And it's like, maybe she didn't want any kids, or like...
Well, she didn't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't have a choice. It was that, because when you think about how the other Tethers are living, the other Tethers didn't really have, like, any consciousness to them. They didn't have, like, any minds to them. So, like, when they, like, breeded and had offsprings, they didn't really, you know... It was just them, like, acting like machines, just following the instructions they were being given. She was not a machine. She was a living person. So when you think about that, it's like every single child she had was, like, the product of rape. And it's horrifying thinking about, like, that's the existence that she had under there. It makes Red such a sympathetic villain in this movie. It makes you look at her and go, yeah, I could understand you trying to basically destroy the entire world above you. You had a horrifying existence under there.
And it's like, and when she like brings back Jason, is it really Jason?
Yes. Now this is something that we also need to talk about in here, because this is a theory that I have seen people online throwing around, and I had this theory early on because there was a moment in which Jason goes off and gets lost, and I thought, oh God, it's the tethered Jason. Like, it's been the tethered Jason this whole time. But then I'm like, no, the other Jason, he can't even talk. He's got a burnt face. That doesn't match up. If he got swapped out at this moment, that wouldn't work. But I've seen other people, like, analyzing this and saying, they said that Jason has not really been the same since last year when Grandma died, and they even mentioned, like, he didn't talk for a little bit, and he's been acting weird since then. And they also, there's a moment in which he is digging stuff in the sand, and these girls come up and go, what are you making? And he goes, oh, a tunnel. I was like, what kid builds a tunnel in the sand? You build castles in the sand.
I thought he was, like, building a moat or something.
That's what I thought, too. It was just a weird way of saying moat, just saying tunnel, but then you look into this theory of, like, could he have been replaced, like, a year ago? Like, when they say he was acting different, could he have been replaced back then? And he's building this tunnel because that's all that he knew. He just knew tunnels then because he grew up in that existence. And the thing that a lot of people are saying is, like, well, that can't happen because the Jason from Underground, he's got a burnt face. But remember, whatever the Tethers are doing, the other ones are doing as well. Whatever the person above ground is doing, the people underground are forced to do that exact same thing. And you see Jason, he's constantly trying to get this little, like, spark trick to work. And he's constantly just flick, 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 just constantly trying to flick this thing to make it work. And then you see, like, he's constantly holding it, like, right here. If the one underground, he didn't have that thing, but he had matches as the next closest thing.
Or like a lighter.
Or a lighter. He was basically forcing real Jason to burn his mouth until he couldn't talk anymore. And that could be what drove, this little boy living that existence for an entire year. You see him running around like an animal, which we see above ground Jason. He has this Wolfman mask on the entire time. So he's got some kind of a fascination with the idea of acting like a wolf. And then you've got, like, below ground Jason acting like an actual animal. This kid got kidnapped, taken underground, I forget which ones we mentioned now, Red. I'm getting the names mixed up again. Like Red did. And then he had his own face burned off so he couldn't even talk. Yeah, he'd probably go nuts and start acting like an animal because that's all that he knew. That was the thing that he, like, looked up to and wanted to be like. Yeah, it's a theory that, again, I want to go back and watch this thing again and see, like, how many hints actually are in there for that. But also, at the end of this thing, after Adelaide remembers, oh, God, right, I was a tethered. All this is coming back to me now. She has, like, a little, like, cracked up, like, kind of going insane look at the end. And then she's looking over at Jason, and Jason has this look like, I know. I believe me, I know. And it does make you go, oh, shit,
So,
man.
like, what's gonna happen to the daughter and the father? Like, are they gonna just...
I think, well, here's the thing. They abandoned that. And they're like, I ain't fucking enjoying that big line of people. I like this. I like this existence I have. I think it's just one of those, like, secrets of, like, don't tell anybody that we're tethers. This is, trust me, it's gonna be fine. Just, yeah, don't let anybody know. This is just our secret in this post-apocalyptic world we've created.
Although maybe it's more like, don't tell, like... No, I guess... I'm trying to figure out, like, how would the post-apocalyptic world be with tethers and humans?
I don't think that the post-apocalyptic world is going to last that long, because you have to remember the tethers are all now just sitting there in, like, one long line. And we did see the helicopters coming in. It's like, the Marines are going to show up at any point now, and these people are just standing there with their hands tied, like, yeah, they're kind of easy pickings here. The tethers are not going to be that big of a problem beyond what they did in the beginning. It's kind of like what I've always said about the zombie apocalypse. The zombie apocalypse, if it actually happened, it would last for a week.
Yeah, but it's a...
But it's a hell of a week.
However, like, I feel like Jason and Adelaide would be, like, the exception to the rule because, like you said, they didn't join the line and everything, so...
Well, again, that's the thing. You have to realize, like, they are now living normal lives. This isn't a, like, oh, are they going to now go crazy and stab Gabe in the middle of the night kind of thing. This is more of a... We now just have to live with the secret that we kind of helped this horrible thing happen. We have to live with the knowledge that we have of what happened to us. We have to live knowing that our entire existence was a lie kind of a thing. Yeah, it's more of a psychological thing.
Yeah.
More of a, like, Jason popping out of the water to grab our protagonist one last time kind of a thing. But yeah, that line there at the end, you look at it and you just go, all right, the world will return to normal. It's going to be fine. But when you look at all those people lined up, those are people who were murdered. Like, everybody who joined that line successfully killed their target. And that is terrifying. Yeah, and again, you look back at that We Are America thing, and you go, okay, that's clearly, like, it's obvious what you're trying to say there, that this is, well, it's obvious that you're saying there is a message here. You got to look for the message. But it also doesn't really make any sense in the context of the film until you realize they're all dressed in red, holding hands across America, and this thing opened up with a commercial for Hands Across America, which was a bunch of red stick figures holding hands.
Like, you even see them, like cutting up papers into, like, little people and just...
Yep. Man, this movie is smart with its visuals. It really is. This is a freaking brilliant film. And again, it's amazing that within 24 hours it went from, I guess it was a above average slasher film, I guess so, to, oh my god, this is amazing. I haven't had a reaction to a film like that since Mother. Remember Mother? When I walked out of that film just going, fuck this thing. This thing was stupid and pretentious bullshit. And, well, okay, I guess that thing was all right. But aside from that thing, okay, well, that thing over there was also kind of cool. And I guess that it could be a message about this thing. And oh my god, it was a message about this thing. And literally my opinion changed that much about it over the course of a couple of days. Yeah, this is one of those films like that, and I love films like that, and we get them so rarely, so... Yeah, this movie's great, and I'm definitely going to see it again. We might even review this again.
Maybe.
For, like, Thorgy-ween, this year in October. When this thing comes out on Blu-ray, we might watch this all over again. But yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought about us in the comments down below. By the way, I think at some point in time I probably called this Up. So my apologies to the old man in the balloon. But yeah, let us know what you thought about us in the comments down below. Also, if you want to see more from us, you can always click that subscribe button, hit that bell, follow us on Twitter or Twitch at Professor Thori. Also, do you like video games? This is something I need to learn to start promoting way more, because I keep forgetting to promote this. If you like video games, we now have a gaming channel. It is Thorgy's Arcade. I will have a link to it at the end of this video.
Yes, you need to promote your Patreon and your gaming channel.
I keep forgetting to talk about both those things.
Yes, gotta remind yourself.
Yep, my bad. But yeah, all that stuff will be in the comments down, in the description down below. Thanks. Sorry, I've been talking so much, my throat is so dry. Like just a dust cloud is gonna come out. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.